DMT Infinity, what's good, bro? So there's probably gonna be wind. I'm not sure how it's gonna be affected. But like, I was gonna bring my microphone, but I noticed it was windy out. So anytime I use the microphone, it gets way worse. But so for right now, I guess just deal with the wind. And when I get out the wind, I could then vibe and shit. But what's good though, DMT Infinity? It says Mark Dreams, Mark Dreams, Mark Dreams. It's not really as hot as I thought it was. We almost out the wind. While I'm walking, I should just get high real quick, bro. I don't need to wait for that. You see all those clouds in the background? Those are all for me, bro. I be smoking heavy. Clouds do look beautiful today, though. Oh shit, I need to... Alright. I've been recording videos at this one spot down here. Technically, this place over here, the spot over here, is not for civilians, but the people that worked here, like, would see me here, like, every year, and, like, they seem not to care, because it's not like I'm causing problems or anything. What they don't know is I'm taking care of some wild motherwort that's over there. But, bro, look how tall this grass is. Bro, grass is tall as fuck. It could be like... All right. so beautiful down here. Over there be my spot. You see how there's like a little cubby hole or whatever? It's like in between these bushes, and like there's a spot where it's like that's where I've been making my videos lately. Cause like, and probably in the summer, I'm gonna have to like trim it down, cut some of these if they grow too big. But this is like a perfect spot, bro. Like, swear to God, I'd be right here most of the time when I make videos. And depending on the time of the day, depends on the thing behind me. Cause like, the first time I did it, like the sun was so bright behind me, cause the sun was over there. But I was gonna make another video, right? Cause I was coming down here, and I was like, I might as well make a video while I'm down here. But I don't know if I can hang this at a tree. But instead, I just decided to do a live stream. Because I've made like, technically I dropped 2 videos last night past midnight. But technically they were all done in the same, like, so like I dropped 3 videos yesterday technically. And like, I think I have another video or maybe another 2 videos that I made that I gotta decide whether I'm gonna upload those or not. But I was like, why make another video? I'll just go live. I could vibe. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to. This is like an impossible task. Andrew VR, what's going on, bro? So, for those that watch my channel, y'all know that I do not smoke tobacco or like I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke nicotine. That's not my thing. But if YouTube asks, I'm vaping on some nicotine. If YouTube is asking. I'm trying to fix this shit up. Bro, this shit ain't gonna stay up. If I could put it in between them, that'd be even doper. I need to set something up over here. Maybe get a tripod and just leave it here in the tree so then I can like just set it up. But what's good though, y'all? If you have any questions, anything you want me to talk about, or anything, whatever, just let me know. If not, as soon as I get high enough, I'll probably just start rambling. But see, I guess that's the best spot. But like, that ain't a good enough spot. Oh shit! I knew that would happen. I guess it must be. This would probably be a better spot because I could set it down. I feel like people don't do this enough. This is what I mean, bro. I was gonna get high and I was gonna start rambling on. So like, I feel like people don't do this enough. So like, I'm smoking, right? And you could do this sober. You could do it smoking some weed. You could do it smoking some whatever you smoke, drinking whatever you drink, or you could do it sober. But I just sat here, right? I put the phone down and I was sitting here smoking, but I was staring at this. Staring at the water. Like, look at how it hits. But I was sitting there staring at that, right? And it made me, like, I just thought how peaceful that moment was. And how really all we need is a moment to ourselves, a moment like some of the best parents have, like, they set aside time for themselves, a moment, right? That's really the point of meditation. Like, so many people, like, they kind of miss the point of these things, but meditation is like designed to put you in the moment, because so many people are not really in the moment. They're in their ideas, they're in their mind, like they're in their head. instead of just being present within the moment. And in a meditation, you're in your head, right? Like you sit there, you meditate, like it's just you in your head. But meditation works when it becomes you observing you inside of your head. Like that's what being in the moment really is, like becoming the observer. So like the point of meditation is to become the observer of your own thoughts. Like in the beginning of meditating, you're not going to automatically be able to just silence your mind and sit there and maybe do an Om meditation or whatever. No, it's going to be you analyzing your thoughts, realizing you're just thinking a bunch of random thoughts, you're over here, over there, or maybe you're not even realizing it. Maybe it's just what's happening, that you're meditating and you're just thinking all these thoughts. Then you're thinking that you're doing meditation wrong because you're thinking that you shouldn't be thinking and all this shit, right? But that is meditation. That's the beginning stages of it. It's a process. It's something that starts to work over time. So like over time, the point is to not silence your mind. You can get there too. There are certain types of meditations that are designed to help you learn how to silence the mind in your head, even if it's just for 5 seconds. Like, you have no idea how 5 seconds of complete silence in the mind is an insane amount of peace. And that's what I mean. Where, as I just sat here staring off, I was doing an open-eyed meditation, basically. Like, I feel like I'm always in meditation now. Like, I'm always in the thing. Well, I guess not always, because there's times in the day or times in a week where I'm not. But the majority of the time now, I'm always in the thing. I'm always sitting here with Mother Nature, observing the beauty of it, right? Like, the beauty of the clouds, how they look like giant, like, torn up cotton balls, or like the beauty of the hill in the background with all the trees and the water and the river and the sounds of Mother Nature and the, like, I was with it. Like I was present in that moment. How it's like, now even though they just got loud as fuck, interrupted my video here, right? They're all chirping and, or like, I think that's a chirp or whatever those geese make. But it's like I'm here. If I wasn't sitting here paying attention to that, I wouldn't have noticed that just happened. That the geese were coming, they were flying, and then they land, and like, it's almost like they're talking to each other, like they're speaking, like, you know, they're communicating in a sense. But as I'm analyzing the world, I'm just like, yeah, those geese over there are communicating, doing their thing. And it's like, I'm right here doing my thing, but because I'm in the moment with these things, I'm able to observe it as the observer, just like you're supposed to do when you've been meditating for like 2-3 years. By the time you're like 2 years into actually taking meditation seriously, you can become the observer of your thoughts and start observing them and almost laughing at some of them sometimes, or almost, you know, like how I just said, I observed these geese coming in and the geese just landed, right? And I was like, you know, they was being so loud, they interrupted my video. You could do that same shit to your thoughts. You could be like, this thought I just had was so stupid, it's funny. Like, you could be like, oh, you don't want to think negative, but you think negative. All you got to do is catch yourself and be like, hey, you there? Like, I don't know, have fun with yourself, bro. Have fun with life. Like, life is this beautiful thing. And it becomes more beautiful when you start looking at it through a lens of beauty, through a lens of being the observer, observing the thing. When you observe a painting, you're supposed to observe the beauty of the painting, the whole thing, right? So as I'm observing life, I'm just like absolutely in love with life. Like, look, I'm so serious. But that's only because I'm able to observe it from a certain perspective. And like, it's just like negative thoughts. My negative thoughts or the things that I think that are like whatever, or that's funny to me too. Like, I don't know. I think it's just interesting that you start noticing shit when you step back and observe it. So like, instead of being inside of your mind, like you think you are your thoughts, and it's like, no, your thoughts are in there, but you're also in there. And if you can separate yourself from your thoughts, you can then become the observer. If you could separate yourself from your pain, you can then become the observer. If you separate yourself, you can then look at it from a different perspective. Look at it like, it's like you're in the painting, so you can't observe the painting. But as soon as you remove yourself from the painting and realize that you're not necessarily the painting itself, you're the person that can observe the painting, you will step out of the painting and observe the painting from a different perspective, because you cannot see it if you're just trapped inside of it. And yeah. DMT Infinity says, hey, sorry about that. I was in a call with one of my voice actors. What's on your mind today? Oh, I just DMT Infinity says, Mark Dreamsby, that motherfucker who can't write a book but makes 4-part novel on Audible as an audiobook. For real though, I can't wait to read them. What will their prices point be? I don't exactly know what a price of a book is. I don't know. What would it, $10? $15? I don't know. But what's so hilarious about that, bro, is I actually I really wish I could just audiobook it, but I can't really audiobook it until after the book is already written, and the books are being written, and it's annoying, but it's getting there. Like, I also got people that I could like just ask for help. Like, if I'm like trying to write something and I'm like, I don't know, whatever, then someone, can help me. But what's so crazy is writing my fictional book forced me to learn how to do punctuation and stuff. Well, for people that don't know, and this makes me look like an idiot, but it's the truth, that I just learned how to do the correct punctuation, like in a sentence. I can speak really well, but my whole life I've had trouble reading, and I've had trouble reading and comprehending and understanding what I read. So it's like I learn better if somebody reads it to me. So that's why I prefer audiobooks or YouTube videos, or like, that's why Terrence McKenna is what really got me into opening my mind, and it was his talks. But like, eventually, like now, it's like I've been trying to write a book about my spiritual journey, and I've been doing that for like 5-6 years, on and off. But then when I got this idea to write a fictional book, and I got this whole idea of a whole fictional world and a whole fucking thing in my head, and I just wanted to get it out of my fucking head, I then made videos about it and just talked to a camera and like talked about it or whatever. But I really wanted to make it like an anime or a cartoon, but there's no way, like I was looking at it, like there's no way I can make that happen right now. Like I'd have to wait to do it. So instead of waiting, I started writing it in book form. And by doing that, I then realized, what is stopping me from learning? Like, bro, I learned how to, all this other shit, right? I've been learning and growing and expanding my mind and all this shit. But I was like, all I gotta do is put the time in, and I know I can learn how to do the right punctuation. I know I can do this shit because I want to do this shit because I so badly want to get these fucking books out. Like, and what's crazy is the only thing I really want to do is write my fiction book. Writing the book about my actual spiritual journey is annoying. It's like boring. Because to me, it's like, yeah, now I got to think about shit. Had to think about how, I got locked up when I was 14, like, I want to explain what that was like, my experience with that, because all this shit led up to the journey and led up to the thing, because it was all like the journey itself. Like, life itself is a journey. But, like, I don't know why. It's just annoying writing the book. Like, because I got to then relive certain things. It's like writing it, I have to then relive it. And that's annoying sometimes because it's like some of them bad situations, like, but then some of them are great situations. I'm gonna enjoy writing the part of my book about, like, when I fell in love and all that. That's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope when I can finally get to writing about the DMT journey, how I started that and how, like, I got into that. That's gonna be dope. But it's like writing a book is annoying because you have to put it together in a certain way. Like these videos, it's not like it's structured in order, right? Like if somebody played the video back and watched it from the beginning up until now, it's like they would have had no idea that I was going to talk about my book or whatever, or like, because there's no structure to it. It's just a actual free flow of consciousness. Like that's the way I look at making videos. Like, just like when you freestyle a rap song, it's like I'm freestyling, free flow consciousness, but trying to then take certain ideas from my consciousness and put it inside of a more structured thing is so fucking annoying. Like, for real. At least for me. Shit is absolutely irritating and annoying because it's all I want. I just want to get this shit done. I just want to get these 2 damn books done so then I can go back to just doing some other shit, right? Like, why is it that the shit that needs to get done is so fucking hard to get done? Like, and technically, like, I could write a book by, like, I can take an audio thing and transcribe all my things, but, like, then it's not structured the way that I want. Just like when you make a song, it's structured a certain way. It has, like, sometimes there's an intro, sometimes there's a whatever, but it's the same thing with a book. And yeah, but I'm getting there. The fictional story is coming along so damn great that it's like, bro, that's what's making me want to write it even more, because I'm interested to see where the fuck this shit goes. Like, I'm so interested in the story, and it's not like, and it's a fictional story I'm making up, but I'm making it up as I'm going along. So it's like, when I first came up with the idea, I had no idea about parts of the story that I just was working on 2 days ago. Like, and it just keeps getting more interesting, more intricate. The world's getting built better. The understanding, the whole fucking thing is absolutely insane to me. And I love doing it. Like, I would have never thought that I would want to write fiction, but it's just, yeah. But it's going to be dope. DMT Infinite, I appreciate you, bro. He says, fine. I feel you, though. It's, I feel you, though. It's a therapy process, and it can really mess up if you're not careful. But I'll absolutely get a copy of your science fiction novel if I enjoy the plot. Oh, bro, you're gonna. I was actually thinking about telling you. There's only a few people that actually know the whole story because because it's not copywritten. Like, I'm making up, there's words that I made up that don't exist, but like they exist now because like it's this thing. I'm creating fake plants that don't exist. Like, I have a whole world, like, I mean, millions of years in this world that I've like put together, where it's like the story starts technically 10,000 years in the past, but in that 10,000 years in the past, they talk about something that happened 10,000 years in their past. And like, there's this whole thing of how it gets to the point of the present day and how the main story is about the present day. But there's so much that I have to talk about and explain before I get to the present day and before I get to the main character of the story. Like, the main character's name is Iris. I can't say his last name because it's not copywritten yet. But once I copyright it, I can like just say his last name and his whole family and the whole thing, and how his parents were like these fucking G's, bro. Like, there was this team and they were like in deep love, but like they were this great fucking team that like I don't know, I can't really explain much, but like eventually the father's gonna die, and then there's gonna be this whole thing of like the pain starts the main character's growth. Like, he's gonna first lose himself, then he's gonna find himself, and then he's going to accept his parents' thing because the parents dying is gonna fuck with him and make him not want to do what they did. So like, what they did, they're this thing, and I can't explain the thing they are yet, but they're this thing, and like, he's not going to want anything to do with it. But then eventually he will. Eventually he's going to find some girl, and this girl's going to be into this thing as well, and it's going to help him get into the thing, and it's going to be this whole thing. And then they're going to train together. There's going to be like this whole training thing where the whole, like, basically their whole life is this training thing to train to get better at the thing that they do. And like, yeah, so writing a fictional story is interesting because I can put truths in there. Like, there's reality to the story even though it's a science fiction story. And like, and there's, you know, spells and magic and energy work and this and that, and like there's a lot of things in it. But I don't know, it's just gonna, it's dope because you can put like real shit in fiction but make it cooler. You can, because it sounds way more cool, it's way more exciting, it's way more of a crazy magical world. Like, the real world is magical, but I can make a fiction world way more magical, right? And it's like, yeah, I've gone through my growth and I've gone through a lot of shit, but the main character of this story is also going to go through shit, and it's going to help him become the person he was meant to be. But like, in the story, there's also this choice that everyone gets when they're 20 years old. They get a choice, basically, and the story is kind of, that's, I mean, there's a lot of lessons and things I could put into the story, because it's like that idea that everyone in their race, like everyone on their planet and every other planet, whatever, but like, they have a choice that they have to make at 20, and it's the most like important decision they will ever have to make, and it changes their whole entire life. Like, it decides which way they go. So it's like, I really wanted to put that in the fictional story, like, kind of to explain like you have a choice, and like, we all, like, the choices we make dictate where our life will go, what type of person we will be. Like, there's going to be choices that the character makes that if they made a different choice, it would have completely changed their life forever. You know, I might have a situation where the main character, like, almost dies, or, like, gets into a situation where the people die and shit, because he's going to end up becoming a thug, doing gangster shit eventually when he loses himself. But I feel like I'm telling you too much about the story already. But yeah, it's gonna be fucking dope. Yo, I think that says Kane. What's going on, bro? DMT Infinity says, fiction allows you to express the magic in the imagination. Science fiction is just as real as your imagination, and that's something that's very real. I feel you. Morning Dove, what's going on? I have no clue what that says, but much love. I'm about to put the phone back down, so... Oh, I wonder. Maybe that worked. Stuck a stick in the ground to help it hold up my phone. Oh, yo, I'm so glad I brought a drink. But yo, this last thing about my fictional book. So, like, obviously my, like, daughter knows that I've been, like, writing this fictional book, and she's probably heard more about this shit than anyone, and she's probably, like, so sick and tired of hearing about these fictional beings that don't exist but do exist in their whole world and their whole life and their whole thing. Like, because, like, it's all I've been thinking about, bro. I don't know why, but that's why I've been writing it, because I can't get it out of my fucking head, you know, like. Speaking of which, my son loves your music now. Oh shit, I appreciate that, bro. That's dope. And that's another thing. Like, if I ever was able to make the story into an actual cartoon or something, like, I'd have my own music that I would use to create the vibe of it. Oh shit. Any questions? Anything before I hit this vape again and then probably go on a fucking ramble about something random? Going back to being the observer, right? You ever remember when you was a kid and you would observe the ground? Like, as I'm observing this, I don't know if you guys can see it, because the grass is up here, but it like cuts off and it gets cut, and like there's a drop down to the ground, but it's all dirt. But you can see all the ant holes and all the little bugs and this whole thing. There's a whole world in there, like a whole different world under our feet. And it's like we forget because we're not observing anymore. We're not paying attention. And it's like there's something about that smell, right? Like there's a smell to dirt. It's a different smell down here than it is up here. I should just put it back where it was. DMT Infinity asks, have you seen any new anime recently? Um, yeah, I seen this one that I didn't think was gonna be good, but it was. It's called Shaman King, and obviously I just watched it because it had the word shaman in it. But at first it starts off, it's like a kids anime, but it's actually a dope show. Like I liked it. And there's a bunch of animes that I still have to watch because I'm watching, I watch basically anime with my daughter, and sometimes I'll watch it by myself, just like sometimes she'll watch an anime by herself, but like she doesn't like to watch too many animes at once. So like we kind of watch one anime at a time. And I've seen all of Dragon Ball, like Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and all the movies. She just needs to, we're at the end of Dragon Ball Super, like the Tournament of Power. And then we got to watch the movies, and then we're done with Dragon Ball. And then we're probably going to get to One Piece, because I've watched up to like episode 500 in One Piece, but there's like 1,100, or maybe there's possibly going to be 1,500 episodes or whatever by the end of, like, by the time it's done. So like, so yeah, I've been I would love to watch that, because One Piece was actually one of the best animes I've ever seen. Like, I like it a lot because the whole story is really dope, and how the world is put together, and just the whole thing is really dope. It was, as much as people talk shit about One Piece and how there's too many episodes, it's like over 1,000 episodes, but like, to me, it was so easy for me to watch the first 500 episodes, because I just kept any free time I had, that's what I wanted to watch, because I was so interested to see where things would go, like how characters would develop, how the thing would whatever. But I've mentioned this before. Seven Deadly Sins was a dope one. I still gotta watch Jujutsu Kaisen. But like I said, there's a lot of like newer popular animes that I'm kind of holding off on, because like I don't want to watch too many without my daughter. So like I've just been kind of holding back on certain animes. DMT Infinity says, no homo, but I absolutely adore your body shape. It's the body shape that I wish I had. You're not too muscular, but not too skinny or small. Your body is balanced in that way, and I'm striving to get to that point before I'm 40. Fun fact. Oh, well, that's dope, bro. I appreciate it, and like, I think it's just the way I work out. Like, I do a lot of things where my intention wasn't really to get big or any of these other things. So like, it's the way I work out. I do a lot of, I'll hold like this, and I'll have a weight though, so that helps the upper body, and like push-ups and arm holds and the bands and pull-ups. I think like calisthenics and isometrics, because they're like more what the body would naturally need to do anyways. Like, you would naturally need to, like, if we was in the wild, we would need to have strength enough to climb trees, strength enough to whatever. And like, that's kind of the strength you get from pull-ups. And then like all the calisthenics, like push-ups and dips and sit-ups and all this other shit or whatever, that helps. But the isometrics, I feel like, really help, as well as I'm very intentional. So if I'm working out and I'll notice that my body shape is changing in a way that I don't want it to, I'll just stop working. Like, because we have choices of how we work out and what we do. So a lot of people will do a shit ton of curls. So the bicep will be really big, and their bicep will be almost bigger than their shoulders. Where for me, because my natural body was already like this shape, I didn't want to change my shape. I just wanted to increase it. But I noticed that you can work out and do a certain workout, and you can end up changing your shape and like unbalance yourself. So I just look at it like, I think everything is about the balance, not just living life, or like, trying to balance drugs, or like your drug use, or like any of this other shit. Like, I think even working out and your body and this whole thing, where you can balance it. So there was times where all I did was shoulder workouts for like a month or two straight, right? Like, it's like I'm just intentional, because it's like I don't want to be unbalanced mentally or physically or emotionally or spiritually or um you know, any of that. But really, I just think it's the way I work out, because a lot of people like work out in the gym and shit, and that's fine. But there's a certain look, and there's a certain um when you do calisthenics or like things like that, your muscles are more tighter together, not as big, but you still have strength. I just seen this dude yesterday who was smaller than me, but he's able to do things that I can't do. So like he's actually already able to do the handstand push-up and these things, but he's smaller than me. But he was explaining that there's a difference between strength and muscles. And then there's also this other thing that I learned. It's called fascia. Fascia is, those Zen masters that will sit there and they'll like, I don't know if I could do it. They'll sit there and squat. It's like they'll have this thing, arms out, kind of like squatting. It's called horse stance. So like that helps strengthen your fascia. So like isometrics will help strengthen your fascia. And fascia is something, it's like the wrap thing that goes around the muscle. And like it's a hard thing to explain, but I just think you lose a lot of something when you just work out in a gym type thing. Like you're not really strengthening your fascia. You're not really you can unbalance yourself, where like, yeah, you're big, but you're big in an unbalanced way. And it's like, that's fine, but like, I don't know. It's interesting that if you just kind of go for function, like push-ups and all this other shit, of course it kind of balances out, because it's going to be that you're going to be strengthening the muscles, the natural human muscles that need to be strengthened to live the natural hard human life. And it's like, how like, no disrespect to people that like work out and shit, but they'll be doing lifts and shit that aren't practical, ways that you wouldn't even sit that way, or you wouldn't lift something that way in the real world. Like, I don't know. I also do a lot of hangs. So I might just hang there with like hanging on, like trying to do some pull-ups, but just hanging all the way down helps with the back. It also like helps strengthen the shoulder and the whole shoulder blade itself. And I might just do little, I started doing slow pull-ups. So it's like just one or two slow pull-ups where you pull up extremely slow and then you go down extremely slow. And it's like, I just want to be as functionally strong as possible. And yeah, and really it's easy. I feel like it's easy to do. It's hard to actually just implicate in your life. But that's why I work out the way I do, because I think it's easier. And it's like, it's not like I'm trying to put people, like, I'm not trying to put gyms out of business, but I'm saying you don't need a gym. And most of the time, the thing that people want isn't really the look from someone that works out at the gym. So it's like, yeah. But anyone can do it, bro. And like, sort of goddamn T Infinity, you can do it too. That goal is, like you said, by 40. That's a great goal, because you're not trying to rush it. You're not trying to, whatever. And that's the key. I feel like a lot of people fuck up because, yeah, you can go to the gym and get much bigger within like 6 to 7, 8 months. Like 8 months of going to the gym, yeah, you can start to gain some muscle, but that doesn't mean that you've gained strength. And something I have noticed is strength takes longer to build, but it also lasts longer. So like, if your goal is to get like that by 40, that's perfect, because that means that you'd be able to keep that shit until like 70. Like, shit, maybe longer, but it just depends. Because if you will just add certain things into your life and they just become normal shit that you do in your life, your body adapts and it gets stronger, but then it stays stronger. Like, if you strengthen your fascia, if you actually strengthen like some of these things, it's like there's a permanent strength that doesn't necessarily show. You know, if you go to a Shaolin monk, they're not brolic as fuck, but they can do wall sits for a lot longer than any bodybuilder, or a lot longer than me. They could do the horse stance for a lot longer than me. Like, but it's not like their legs are extremely big. It's because they've built strength, and strength has this longevity thing where, you know, I finally have this thing now that I'm 30, but I also have like a goal like that. By the time I'm 40, I want to be even more healthier. Like, I just want to get healthy. I just want to heal the body. And the funny thing is, the body's more healthy when it's like doing the shit that it is supposed to do, going through the struggles that it's supposed to go through. Would you hold on? Don't watch DMT Infinity. What 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 anime are you talking about? You said something about don't watch it with your daughter. I went on a whole fucking tangent, bro, and I forgot all the animes that I even mentioned. I forgot everything I said. But I don't really keep anything from my daughter. She was watching certain shit when she was 6, right? Like, so I mean, she's seen things that like I don't really have interest in watching. Like, she's seen certain things or whatever. I didn't really hide shit from her. Like, when she started going through puberty, I just kind of opened her up to the world of reality and just what is. And like, what is there's some shows or animes or things that are gonna have certain things. There's some things that are gonna whatever. But you know, she understands shit. I mean, she's just about as conscious as me, bro. It's interesting. What's Elfin? What do you, Elfin? Why does that sound familiar? DMT Infinity said Elfin. I don't think I've heard of it, but I think I've heard of it on TikTok. I don't know what it is. Or are you talking about that, I don't even know what it is, what the creature thing is. Is it a cat? Is it whatever? Supposedly something about a brothel or like some shit. Like, but I don't even think if that's what you're talking about, I don't even think she would be interested in that, because I'm not even interested in that. You know, but I don't know if it's the same thing. Okay, DMT Infinity, yeah. He says I'll send you a DM about it later. It's one of my favorite animes. That's interesting, bro. Yeah, definitely send me a DM about it later, because like, I don't know if it's what I think you're talking about. It could be something completely different. But there was one anime that I seen that I did not allow my daughter to watch, but this was like a year or two ago. Now would be a different story. I think she'd be fine watching it now, but like it's something that I would not recommend any other parent show their children or allow their children to whatever, because the type of kid that would watch that content has to be very conscious and very informed before, and like have an understanding of reality before watching things like that. But like, you know, things like High School DxD, or things like Devilman, it's an anime that's on Netflix. But like, those are things that I basically told my daughter, you know, she's not allowed to watch. But now it's a different story. Like, if she wanted to watch some of those things, I wouldn't necessarily whatever. And there's some parts in the show that are like what people would call adult, but like, I don't know. I've always wanted to make a video about something like that. Like, I've always wanted to make a video about how America keeps their children infantile for a longer period than needs to be. Like, we keep children dumb under the guise of like, oh, we must preserve their innocence. But like, there's a complication with, if you preserve their innocence for too long, or whatever you think that means, for too long, or keep them dumb for too long, they then don't know how to actually function in the real world, and how to function at a higher level, and to like whatever. You know, like, because there's scary shit in the world. Kids can get kidnapped, kids can whatever. You know, there's this whole thing back in the day, don't let your kids on the internet, they can talk to strangers, and like this whole thing. But we went from that to then allowing our like kids to go in an Uber with someone. Like, it's completely normal for like, if your teenage daughter is somewhere and it's like, to call an Uber for her to whatever, but then she's getting in a car with a complete stranger. Like, it's interesting, but I do think that it's going to evolve over time, because this is a recent thing. This is a recent thing where we like raise our children to be like dumb for a longer period of time. We try to keep the world from them, keep it secret or whatever, when like Native American children or whatever were way more responsible at a young age, but yet they kept their innocence, whatever that means. But like, my grandfather, from like, for an example, like, my grandfather was 6 years old and had to work on a farm, like at 6 years old, had to work on a farm to then help his like mom pay bills type shit, because he was born in the year of the Great Depression. So like, 6 years after the Great Depression, shit was still bad. But like, what I'm saying is, it's like, we're getting soft because we're being overprotective. Like, you know how like the world, they say the world's getting soft, humans are getting soft, you know, they're but this is because of little things like this, where we think it's, now I've never like spanked or beat my kid, I've never like put my hands on my child, but I have disciplined, I raised my voice, I let her know I'm serious, I've had her like, I used to stand her in the corner when she would like whatever, but like, she still was disciplined. But it's the fact that nowadays people think you can't discipline at all, because like, they say it's bad. Like, I said, oh, you know, I used to, you know, raise my voice on my child, let her know. And they're like, no, you should never raise your voice on a child. And then they say, you know, first it started with, you know, my grandfather got his ass beat, his father before him got his ass beat. Humans have always been getting their ass beat since the beginning of time of humans having children, but eventually that stopped when we became conscious. Now, I'm glad that part stopped, but children still need discipline, because like, they need discipline, they need guidance, they need like this thing to help them grow, to help them maneuver in the world. So then it's like, they can watch a show that most humans would say, you know, that's a show that no kid should watch. But if you raise the child to like understand there's consequences in the world, there's this and that, you could teach them this and that, you can help them understand, and then you can guide them. Like, don't make the, like, I feel like the best thing is to help the children be able to make their own decisions. Like, help them be able to not be influenced by what they see, because they understand what they see is just entertainment. It doesn't have to be real. They don't have to imitate it. Like, you could just be entertained by it. And it's this thing, because the weakness of the world, how like they say humans are getting soft, like it doesn't just start in college. Like, people are talking about how humans are getting soft because the people in college, and there's these safe spaces and this and that. But I'm like, bro, it didn't start in college. It started a long time ago. Sometime where, like, and I get why it started. This is the problem with it. This is a really complicated issue of, like, obviously and who am I to say what other people do with their children? But I'm just saying, my opinion is, I don't think we should beat children anymore. Like, they still need discipline, but I think that was a good idea. But all this other shit and completely protecting them up until they're fucking grown. Like, I committed an armed robbery at 14. Like, I got locked up and sent away when I was 14 years old. My best friend was 20 when I was 13. I was 13. My best friend was 20 years old. 20. Like, so, like, I've always been more aware. When I was 8 years old, like a little kid, most people think is a little kid, my best friend was 14. Or I think he was 13 when I was 8. And then when I was 9, he was 14. But it's like, I don't know. I'm glad my mom raised me the way she did. Like, but some of it was just because, like, the 90s was a little different. Like, that thing that I just said would sound so horrible if a kid said that today. Like, in the 90s, I'm like, yeah, my best friend, I was 13 and he was 20. That sounds so bad. Or like, when I was 8 years old and my best friend was 13. That wouldn't really happen. But it was a different world, because it's like you would go outside as a kid, and then it's like the kids around, the people that are there are the people that are there. So, like, it wasn't like social media where you then can get into a group with just people that are your age or whatever. It's like the people that are there are the people that are there, and you end up connecting with or vibing with the people that you connect with or vibe with. And it's like, the people that I could talk to, vibe with, have, do whatever with. Like, back then, we used to play Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Beyblades, right? Like, I've been inspired from anime since I was a child. Like, and that's why I really liked hanging out with the dude, because, like, we both had this passion for, Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Beyblades. So, I don't know, it's interesting how, like, in today's world, they wouldn't allow that to happen. And, like, I get it, people are scared, but that's the problem. People get scared, so they shelter their children to the point where then their children don't know how to be in the world, right? Like, this is why it's like, I get why people are against school. Like, they're like, why send kids to public school? It doesn't do anything. But I think it does do something. It helps kids interact with other children, helps them be in the world, interaction, communication, figuring out and seeing for themselves that some people they vibe with, some people they don't. Some people think like them, some people don't. Some people are assholes and some people are not. Like, it's just interesting because it's hard. I've always wanted to make a video about that, but it's hard because I don't, like, I understand humans. Like, I'm a parent. So would I allow my 13-year-old daughter to have a friend that was 20 years old? Fuck no. But I don't know why it was different when I was a kid, but like, I don't know. It's interesting. And I guess it's also different for girls because, like, a 20-year-old girl is doing some shit that you wouldn't want like your teenage daughter to be around type shit. But when I was 13 and my best friend was 20, we was best friends because we both had a passion for music, and we started like my first rap group together. Like, we started the thing, which then that thing created the thing where I had the studio and I was recording all these people's music and whatever. But if I was never friends with that person, I probably wouldn't have been able to develop my skills to be a producer and to record people's music, because I would record his music. And then my goal was to then make it sound as professional as I can, which then that's how I learned how to use certain programs and learning how to record or whatever. But it's like, I became friends with the people that I vibed with that had a very similar thing that I wanted to do. Like, all the other kids, like, I was 13. Most of the kids my age, they didn't want to they didn't take music seriously. They didn't want to get great at it. They didn't want to actually, like, make real songs and real shit. Like, they didn't want to do that shit. They were just kids. And I guess I was just a kid too. But I was me. Like, I've always been me. But I don't know. So it's just like weird how life is. Life changes as we grow. But like, the more that we have, like, now we have more control over our children. You can, like, put things in their phone where, like, you know where they are at all times, and like this whole thing. But like, when I was a kid, my mom would, like, I'd have to come home when the street lights got on, right? And it's like, my mom would have had no idea where I was. Like, I was up in the hills somewhere, like, not those hills, but there's hills all around. So there's like hills all the way on that side, on the other thing. And it's like, I might have been in the hills somewhere. I might have been riding my bike all the way to the fucking other side of whatever. I might be down here at the river, like, somewhere, whatever. But like, nowadays we get so scared. It's like, oh, don't go to the river. The kids could drown. And it's like, you know, I don't know. Yeah. And I get that it's a hard thing, because life is hard. It's hard, but, you know, I feel like we should just do what we think is right, you know? So that's why it's like, I parent the way that I parent. Other people parent a different way, and nobody is right and nobody is wrong. It's like, you can parent your child the way you want, just like I can, and just like everyone else, right? So like, but this is why I never make, you haven't seen me make a video about parenting, even though, like, I want to, like, I have for a long time. Even my daughter, like, says that I should, and we've wanted to make videos together. And it's just, parenting is a hard video to make, because I don't want to, I don't know the word, I guess I don't want to hurt people's feelings or make people feel like they're not, like, I don't know. So I just try not to step on that thing out of respect, right? Because I'll talk about anything, right? I'll speak my mind, like, what's actually in my head. I don't care if it pisses someone off. I don't care if it whatever. Like, how it affects them is not my problem. But there's certain topics that I just understand. So I'm like, as a parent, I understand. So I don't like to step on, like, push that thing, because I don't want people to think I'm saying, this is how you parent the right way, and this is, you know, wrong, and this is whatever. And it's like, no, because that's not my intention. But maybe one day I'll make a video about it. But what I just said over the past however long that was is about the only thing that I have really said about parenting or whatever. And I've talked about, like, how I parent, but, like, I don't know. Thank God I got a drink. Thank God I got a drink. Fucking right, I got a drink. I'm so glad I had a drink. I gotta read a bunch of comments. Holy shit, I really do gotta read a bunch of comments. Satori Nimona? What's good, bro? Yeah, Satori says, yeah, in shamanic cultures, children are given entheogens at an early age, and I think it's important for human consciousness at a young age. Right, and that's such a controversial thing. And like, as a parent in America, you can't say shit or your kids will probably get taken from you, even if you say shit. So, but it's one of these things where it's like, I started smoking weed every day when I was 15. And it was only 15 because I got locked up when I was 14. So like, it was gonna be 14, but I got locked up. And then when I got out, I was smoking weed every day. But the first time I smoked weed, I was 11. Like, I was 11 years old the first time I smoked weed. So, and then I didn't smoke it again until I was like 13 or 14, like right before I got sent away for that armed robbery thing I did. And then when I got out, I just smoked every day. And like, I don't know if I agree with modern kids today, like taking ayahuasca, because I know in some cultures in South America, the kids would take ayahuasca like after puberty, basically, like 14 type shit, like after they're done with puberty. And it's like, I don't know about that. I mean, probably it's great for their thing, whatever. But I think with our thing, I think cannabis will do just fine. Like, we don't need to be. And I'm not suggesting that children should smoke cannabis, but I am suggesting that, like, yeah. I'm just saying that, like, I was 15 smoking every day. And they say you shouldn't smoke until you're older because it can mess with the brain development. But I'm like, I don't know what that means, and I don't think they do either. Like, I don't think they know what that means either. Like, what do they mean? That it can mess with the brain's development. I haven't seen enough science to kind of prove that to me. So, like, to me, that's like, just an opinion. But I think 15, like 14, 15 is probably a good age for someone who wants to, not someone that, like, because no one told me to smoke weed. It's not like, I guess when I was 11, I probably got peer pressured into it because I was in the group and they were just smoking. But like, when I was 15, it's like nobody peer pressured me. It's what I truly wanted to do. Like, I truly just wanted to start smoking weed. And like, I remember my mom, like when I was 15, eventually she started letting me smoke in the house. But she probably felt the same way, like, I was just her child and whatever. Like, and she used to hate it at first, up until eventually, like, I explained. She was like, why do you smoke? Like, why do you even want to? And yada, yada, yada. So I kind of explained it to her in whatever fucking way I explained it to her back then. And like, and then it was like, she kind of just accepted it, So then, like, I smoked every day. Like, basically, that typical smoking all day, every day. It was that thing. And then when I had the studio, it's like I would smoke even more because I'd have my weed, they'd have their weed, everyone, then they'd bring an entourage of people and they'd have a bunch of weed and they'd have a, like, so, but, Ooh. So Tori, I like what you said. I know I'm way behind in the comments, guys, so like bear with me. But Satori says, I also resonate with the idea that all humans are born into their Buddha nature / Christ consciousness the moment they're born and are extremely in tune with their nature, psychic nature at that time. Yeah, no, I agree 100%, bro, because I witnessed it. Like when I had my daughter, like I was a gangster thug dude when I had her. So it's like she taught me how to be me, like the me I am now. It's like I learned so much from her while she was growing up. Things that like it's things that she lost, like when she went through puberty. It's like we're taught to get out of that thing. And I think that's on purpose. I think that's normal. I think it's normal that like it's almost like we're supposed to lose it and then find our way back to it. But like, yeah, I totally agree. It's like every child is born as the Buddha. Every child is born with that Christ consciousness. Every child is born as their higher self, and they're taught to be their lower self. And then they're taught different fears. Like, I noticed this with my daughter when we watched one of her like videos that she made when she was 6. We watched it back, and she's 13 now. But when she was 6, she had no fear with certain things. Like right now, like I don't give a fuck about people's opinion. So like I'm able to just express and be and just whatever. But she was also the same way when she was 6 without thinking about it. It's not like she thought to herself, I don't give a fuck what people think about me. No, people didn't exist necessarily to. She was just being. She was just expressing. Like, because she used to make videos, like just like I make videos. She's been making videos like that forever, like well since she was like 6. And so there's certain videos where she's just speaking her mind, saying what's on her mind, not giving a fuck, right? Just being herself. One video, she ended up licking her foot on camera, like whatever the fuck. She didn't give a fuck, and like she wasn't thinking about what people are gonna think about her. Like she thanked me that I didn't upload that video, and I decided to not upload that because I'm like, yeah, it's awesome that she don't give a fuck and she just does what she wants and she's her funny self, like, but you know. So like I kept that from being out on the internet, but it's the fact that she made that video with the thing that, oh, she's gonna put this out, people are gonna see it. And but today, then it's like you get older and then you're taught these fears. So then you're taught to be scared about what other people will think. We're taught to then, like, because nobody thinks kids are assholes. I mean, kids are assholes in their own way, but like, they're like, kids are not assholes for looking at someone and saying that person's fat, right? Like, you know how like kids will have this blunt honesty about them, but it's innocent. There is no ill intent to it. It's just an expression of their observation of what is. So like I was able to learn so much from my daughter from the time she was like able to start speaking up until she went through puberty. And like I wanted to make a video about this, about how like from the time, you know, she could speak up until she went through puberty, she was my teacher. And from the time she started puberty up until she's grown, I'm her teacher. And like really just kind of reteaching her some of the things she taught me, awakening her Christ consciousness in a sense. And it's like, I think that's like, I was going to make that a video about conscious parenting, how like conscious parenting is a whole different thing. And like, you know, I'm being really conscious with certain things. And yeah, but I do think all children have that. And then the goal is to get back to that. Because we think we grow up. Like, we think that we're adults, but that doesn't really exist. You're still you, just with more experiences, more knowledge, and a bigger body. But that same pure essence of a soul that you were when you were born is still inside of you. It just might be covered up with a bunch of shit, with a bunch of ideas that were given to you, with a bunch of fears that were given to you, with a bunch of all these different things that, you pick up as you go through life. You grow up and you think you have to become a man. I thought I had to become a black man. That's why I went down that path, became a gangster thug dude, just robbing people, all this other shit, got locked up, because I'm like, I'm just trying to grow, right? I'm thinking this is what I have to grow into because this is who I am, right? You look at other people that look like you and you're like, oh, well, that's who I have to become. The same thing happens with girls when they grow up and they start to become women. They observe other women and think they have to become women. And it's not necessarily that you have to become a woman or necessarily that you have to become a man or have to become a white man or a black man. You just be you. Like, you were you at 6. And really, you're just supposed to be you as you get older. But I think you're supposed to lose yourself because it gives you a chance to find yourself, to rebuild yourself, to put yourself back together with that Christ consciousness, with that thing. And like, we have all these heavy words for it, like Christ consciousness or Buddha or enlightenment or whatever. But it's just like enlightenment just seems like it's you becoming that same thing you were when you were 6, but enlightened, aware, like more experience, more wise, more knowledge, but still you. And sometimes we can lose ourselves, and that's normal. I lost myself. And like, kids, might lose themselves. Some kids might have enough guidance where they don't lose themselves too much, but they will lose themselves a little bit. And we got to give them room to lose themselves a little bit. Like, because it wraps around back to like, we're too soft on our children. We're overprotective over whatever. And it's like, no, we got to give them room to make their own mistakes so they can learn certain lessons that, like, you think you could just tell them the lesson. Like, and there's some things that you can just speak words to the children. If they actually understand, then like, it's a lesson learned. But some lessons, they need to fucking, like, go through it on their own, but you'll never know. Like, I don't know. It's just one of these things. I guess it's complicated being a human. But like, the way I look at it is the humans in the past had it way harder than us. So I look at it like, well, there's nothing really you can put your child through that's worse than what the old humans had to do. Like my grandfather having to work on a farm to help his mother pay bills when he was just 6 years old, while my daughter was making YouTube videos, funny YouTube videos, when she was 6 years old, type shit. Like, while I was collecting Pokemon cards when I was 6 years old, he was working on a farm. And you go back far enough, it just gets worse, where the little kids climbing trees to get fruit for their family in the morning. Little, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, this is part of being human, right? Like, it's just being human. Damn Team Infinity. Beyblades, let it rip. Bro, Satori, you're so right. Pokemon was like always great games. I used to love Pokemon games. It was crazy. I didn't even know what Dragon Quest was up until recently. I just watched the anime on Netflix. You know, and I didn't know until like last year that Dragon Quest was made by the guy that made Dragon Ball. Like, I didn't even know. Satori says, I feel like marijuana helped develop my love of spirituality and increased my intuition and introduced me to open minded ways of seeing things and especially helped with creativity. I agree completely. That's why I started smoking so much because I had the studio and I would rap. And every time I smoke, I notice I'm like, yo, I feel like I could rap better. I feel like I'm more creative with the lyrics that I'm writing. Like, I feel whatever. And then there was one time in the studio, one of the first times I just got really high and I'm just sitting there realizing I'm really high. Like, I remember like telling everyone in the studio, I was like, yo, guys, I feel like I'm connected to God right now. And like, cause I was so thugged out, I would have been like, yo, nigga, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm connected to God right now. And everyone just kind of made fun of me and laughed at me, right? But I was serious. Like, I don't know. Because they just said, bro, you're just high, man. Shut your ass up, bro. But it's like, no, I was so serious. Jacob Cook. 2 seconds, bro. Don't want to leave any garbage. Jacob Cook says, yo, Mark, what have you learned about the law of attraction from DMT? It's interesting you said that. Because, like, what I've noticed just from DMT in general is it's like there's a world in there. Just like here, like, there's a world right here. Like, it's not just this image on a screen of me talking to you. Like, it's like, no, I'm actually in this world right here. And like the ideas, the things that work in this world kind of match up in like in the DMT world. The law of attraction or the law of magnetism, these things seem to be like a reflection of something that works in DMT space. Like, there's this thing I used to do with DMT where like I would smoke DMT and this is like after hundreds of DMT trips, I kind of had different techniques to just help me maneuver in the DMT world. Like, so I would do this thing where I would practice a mantra where in my head I would repeat, I love you, I love you, I love you. And like basically just admitting love, thinking about the people I love. Like the first time I did that, I was just thinking about my daughter the whole time, and I was just repeating in my mind, I love you, I love you, I love you, while I was going through this DMT trip and traveling through this like psychedelic world. But the times that I would say I love you, like I just noticed like certain things. Because there was some trips where like maybe I was in the presence of things that people would say are like evil or dark, or like how the shamans would talk about how ayahuasca, which contains DMT, how like it would take them to the land of the dead and they would interact with like spirits, and how there's like light and dark spirits. But it's just like in the DMT world, if you're admitting this love energy, it's going to repel all of the dark entities or any of these things that humans consider bad. It like repels it, but it's just like in the human world. If you're happy as fuck 24/7, you're gonna repel negative people away from you. If you're like, because it's like the law of magnetism and the law of like you can repel things away from you. Like I don't know, it's so hard to explain, but these are things that the reason why I actually started believing in the law of attraction. is because of my DMT experiences, because I didn't even know, like, I didn't know what a mantra was. It's just a meditation where you repeat a word in your head instead of like oming or trying to sit there or whatever. You just repeat a word in your head. So saying I love you is a mantra. I didn't even know what that word was, like what a mantra was, when I was practicing that thing with DMT. I didn't even know what, like, I learned about the law of attraction from my friend Mike T, because around the time when I was smoking DMT, he had this like Bob Proctor thing. It was like on a hard drive and it had a bunch of Bob Proctor videos. So like I watched those. It's the first time I ever heard like the third eye or the law of attraction or all these things. I started researching the law of attraction and whatever. But I can see that it connected with what I was learning from DMT on how like it seems like you can repel things away from you in DMT. You can attract things to you. Your vibe affects a lot. Your intention affects a lot. Your, like, the energy you're putting off affects a lot. So it's like here in this world, the energy that you're putting off affects a lot for you. Like a lot of a lot of our problems in life are stemmed from us vibrating on the same frequency as our problems. Like, and it sounds so hippie and so out there, but I mean, the way I learned this shit is kind of out there, you know, like smoking DMT and just noticing the similarities between the DMT world. Like, because if you smoke enough DMT, like, you can shatter into a completely different dimension, like a completely different world, lose your body completely. Like, but in that world, it's just like here on Earth, there's laws of physics, there's laws to the world, there's gravity, there's a bunch of other shit. There's like beings survive in a space, like we're on planet Earth, but it's like we're human beings that survive in this space that oxygen is air, but there's fish and other things that survive in the space of the water, which is just a thicker version of air, right? And it's like there's reflections in all of the shit, like, and it's just there's reflections in the whole thing, in the whole pattern. Like, it's a fractal, so the same thing that's in the bigger version of it is the same thing that's in the smaller version of it, and it's like just a different perspective, smaller, different, whatever. But like, that's why I started like learning how to apply this shit, and really why I started focusing on building my energy up. Like, I feel like the more energy I have, the better. It's like it's gonna be easier for me to use the law of attraction or use the law of magnetism or use these different things, because I've been working on myself enough for me to vibrate on the same level as the thing I want, instead of the old me trying to chase this thing that I want. This is why I do not, and it's no disrespect to people, and maybe it's because I have a daughter, but like, I do not agree with the whole trying to get girls thing. I hate that shit. Like, because it's like you're not the best version of yourself and you're trying to get, now you don't have to be the best version of yourself to get girls, but what I mean is you're gonna give your girl a less version of yourself. Like, the best women are gonna want the best men. And it's like men want this thing, but then they'll try to get girls, and it's like the girl that they really want is going to be running away from them, because what they should be doing, and it's like girls don't even think about this shit, right? A girl's not going to think about this, but the truth is that she would go for the man if the man was like, you could still go for the girl, but more understand that there's a difference between saying I like this girl and you want to go like try, and then instead of going to chase this girl, you, like, if you gotta try, really, like if you gotta try hard, then you're doing it the wrong way. Because you can become something, and then, like the law of magnetism, you'll be like a magnet that attracts the girl that you want, or the type of girl that you want, right? Like, I say this all the time, the better you become as a man, the easier it is to get girls. But the closer you are to the vibration of the thing you want, the easier it'll be to get that thing. Like, I've said this like all the time, that like, if you think like a rich dude and you do what rich people do, you'll probably be rich one day, right? Like, and if not, you're closer to getting rich than some guy that doesn't live the way a rich guy lives. Like, if you have an idea, if you know, if you're like, oh, this is how rich people think, this is what rich people do, this is this is why they have assets, and this is why they like invest instead of save, or this is why, like, if you start learning this knowledge and understanding, you'll understand why they're rich. It's an understanding. Once you become a better version of yourself and you become a man that attracts women, you'll understand the other men that have been doing that when they don't have to do anything. Like, you're like, people hate on the guy. They're like, oh, that guy, whatever. He's good with girls. He always gets the girls, and it's like, you're mad because he's not even trying. And he's not trying because he doesn't have to, because what he tried is, instead of trying to get girls, he focused that energy on himself. Focus your energy, because we are beings of energy. Just like what I learned in DMT space, it's like we're in there, you're just pure energy without the human body, without the physical world. It's just pure energy. So, like, but it's still energy, like beings that are made of energy inside of a world, interacting and doing things and whatever the fuck. But like, somebody told me once that this was scary information, but maybe it is scary information. But I was thinking, like, I feel like the reason why it's like reflections, where like some of the things I've learned in DMT help me hear how the law of attraction, law of magnetism, all that shit, it's like because this world is preparing us for the next world, which is kind of known. Like, religion says that. Like, people have been saying this forever. But I think we're overlooking the simplicity of it. How, like, it's not like you're gonna go into the next world and you're gonna have to do the same practices you did with your religion, because that religion might not exist in the next world, because these are ideas that were created by human beings. And it's no disrespect to religion, but it's just, I try to only apply the things that do seem to be real or do seem to transfer, where I don't get attached to how, like, people would tell me all the time, oh, you can't be a shaman, this and this. But it's like, I'm not attached to the thing they think I have to do. They think I have to do the same traditions that they learned from this documentary they seen about shamans. And they're like, well, that's what a shaman is. When really, it's just someone that interacts with both worlds, with this world and the next world. Like, they are kind of fluid with it. And like, that's what I've been fluid with it. Like, being able to travel into the psychedelic world, learn things from there, bring the knowledge out of that world and apply it here, right? Like, apply it to myself, but also start to pick out weird similarities or weird things that's like, oh, the law of attraction or the law of magnetism, this shit is not just some crazy idea that humans came up with. That's an idea that might be able to transfer beyond the human world. That, like, you will attract the thing you're vibrating on. People be like, when you die, you go to hell, or when you die, you go to heaven. What if hell doesn't necessarily exist? What if it's just all the negative entities are in the same place together, and all the loving, positive energies are in a different place together, but in the same world? But like there's certain things that I started seeing and I started learning this shit from DMT. But then learning it from DMT, I started seeing why religions believe what they believe. I started seeing the similarities and the scary similarities, right? We're like, heaven, hell, these are scary things. And they're like, oh my God, it's actually real? Well, probably not in the way that we fully imagine. But from what I've noticed in DMT, is it seems like dark energy is with dark energy, love is with love, and it seems like the dark energies are scared of love. Like as I was in DMT space, as I'm going through the tunnel, I'm repeating, I love you, I love you, I love you. Because as I'm going through the tunnel, like I've been stopped by like negative energies or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But it's like I could be repeating, I love you, I love you, I love you. A negative energy can come up to me and I could just start fucking with it. Like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. Like, start running towards it. And obviously, I'm not running because I don't have a human body and it's in this world in DMT space or whatever. But like, I don't know. I started fucking with them. Like, because I'm just having fun. It's funny, like, whatever. And sometimes in DMT space, I started understanding why the gestures act the way they do and where this knowledge comes from about like how life is a cosmic joke and we take it too seriously and whatever the fuck. Because even moments like that in DMT space where I'm smoking high doses of DMT, going through this giant thing, repeating in my mind this mantra, I love you, I love you, I love you, to kind of put like a protective energy love bubble around me. But then when I see a negative energy, I like that one time I just fucked with it, like having fun, feeling like I felt like how the gestures felt in that moment. Of most people in that moment would be terrified because they're flying out of their body, got ripped out of their body and whatever. But for that brief moment, I almost forgot that I was ripped out of my body. And I just felt like this thing that's just, I'm repeating, I love you. I'm going through this space. Oh, there's a negative energy that's scared of love. So then I start running towards it, screaming, I love you. And then it starts like basically running away from me in fear type shit. But to me, it's funny as fuck. But like, because that's what they do to us. The opposite way. You could be a loving person in DMT space and it's like you're scared. And then some entity might take advantage of your fear and be like, ha ha ha, you're scared of the dark energies. You're scared of this. You're scared of that. And like, I don't know. But it's like the dark energies are scared of love. They're scared of light. Like, I don't know how I got on a tangent about DMT. Oh, I was like, how the fuck did I get on a whole tangent about DMT? DMT Infinity says shamans are a little bit of everything, from the artist to the firefighter to the teacher to the inspiring student. DMT Infinity. Fuck yeah, bro. I agree though. And I think that's where these things come from. Like the idea of like a scientist, a doctor, a teacher, like, an herbalist. All of these were just separated from the one thing that was the shaman. The shaman, like, was all of these things. But as we developed, and we expanded, obviously we started having people that specialize in one thing compared to one person that understands a little bit about everything. Like, I'm not claiming that I know everything about the plants in my area, but I know a lot of the plants in my area and how to use them and whatever and all these different things. Just like a shaman wouldn't know everything, but he would know the basics on how to keep people healed and all these different things. But yeah. But the shaman was the first person dancing around the fire like a wild man. Like, seeing visuals back then would have been insane because, like, there was no paint. Like, It's not like a shaman that did ayahuasca and you're seeing the colorful visuals and the sacred geometry and all these things. You didn't have a reference of like, oh, I seen something like this on the internet once. You know, like how kids today, when they trip for the first time, they're like, oh, this reminds me of some of the trippy things I've seen on the internet, like some of the trippy videos or trippy pictures or abstract art or all these different things. But like the shamans were the first people to see these things, probably the first people to try to, the first people to get inspired by these things, right? Like, and then just express. Because it's like the artist came out of the shaman as well, but the shaman's art was himself. Like, it's an art. It's an art form. Like Terence McKenna said it. It's an art form to learn how to use psychedelics. Psychedelics are an art form, meaning you can get better at it. If you don't know how to paint today, you don't know how to draw, that's fine. You can start learning how to draw tomorrow. And because it's an art form, you can get really good at it within the next 5 years. So it's like shamans that started their journey to become a shaman, it's an art form. You then start building yourself, creating yourself. You then start learning how to maneuver in the psychedelic world, knowing these different things and that, and different songs to help you maneuver. Like the shamans created Icaros, which are just songs that help them maneuver in the psychedelic world. But that's all art. That's an art form, and probably one of the first art forms. And then it gets trickled down into, now we have self-help, which the thing that's missing in self-help is the art of it. People want, like, they're looking for self-help. They want to grow and like all these different things, but what's lacking in the self-help community is the spirit of the artist. The fact that if you treat working on yourself and growing yourself and bettering yourself as an art form, you can start to get better at it over time. Like, feel like I've been talking too much. So give me a second. Like, maybe, I don't even know, maybe 5 minutes or so. I just need to stare at this, like, at the river for a second. Like, I just need to stare at that. So, like, maybe just stare with me. I don't know if you can see it, but like, DMT Infinity, I love you too, bro. For real. DMT Infinity says I love you so much, fam. That was beautiful. I don't know um what was what I said that was beautiful though. I don't really remember, but I appreciate you, bro. Bro, I appreciate that. The fact that you even put me in that same thing, like DMT Infinity says, nah, I love them. I think it's the way you talk. Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts, I don't know who Rod Sterling is. Never heard of Rod Sterling. Definitely gotta look him up. But he says there are some of the top 10 favorite lecturers slash philosophers I can listen to you rant and talk all day. But I appreciate you, for real. Like, because obviously, Terrence McKenna was a huge inspiration to me. Like, yeah, first person that made me think of improving the way I speak, or like, I don't know. Because I was a rapper. So rapping, you could talk all, yo, my, but then when you hop on the mic, you're like, yo, so I want to get it, but got it, bring it back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's interesting with rapping, but Terrence McKenna was the first, like, philosopher or person I ever actually sat down and listened to. First time I've ever just listened to someone talk like that. And it inspired the fuck out of me. So, like, from there, I was thinking, well, first I was like, why don't I speak like that? Like, and obviously I don't want to speak like Terrence, but I meant was like, why am I not on that same level? Like, I wanted to be able to speak and basically be on that same level, but speak the way I speak or be me. But like, so like that was the goal in a sense. And like, because it's like I've never wanted to be Terrence, but I was like, well, why can't I be that thing? A psychedelic philosopher, a whatever. I'm exploring with psychedelics. Why don't I talk about it? I had this thought while I was tripping. Why don't I make a video about it? Like, it's like, well, it kind of started this thing of, well, why don't I make a video about it? Why don't I talk about this? I'm thinking about this thing, and it's like I had no one to talk to because all of my friends at the time were like thugged out like me. Like, we was all like gangster type dudes in a studio making music. So like, instead of talking to them about it, which they didn't care, I just talked to the camera and looked at it like, and over time it's like it started being this thing which then helps me speak better. Like, in the beginning of my videos, I would have to edit my videos. Like, now I just do like one take videos where I just click record and I talk for like 10 to 20, maybe 30 minutes sometimes. Or like now I've been live streaming for 2 hours, but back in the day, I wouldn't have been able to live stream because I would get so nervous. So I would get so nervous and I would have to, like, every time, let's say I'm making a video, I'd be like, it's like my throat would get so dry. It's like I would have to, like, I don't know, every like 4 sentences or whatever. So like there was a lot of, like, I just had to edit out a lot of things. So I would cut. And that's why in the beginning of making videos, like, it was like cut and like, just like, like how a lot of videos are. But eventually I fixed that problem. Like, for those that don't know, like back in the day, like 2016, I started watching Carpo 719. And I noticed that he didn't do that. He didn't, like, edit his videos like that. He just did a one take video. Like, he would click record and he would talk for 20 minutes. And I was thinking, why can't I do that? Right? Like, why do I get so scared? Like, I'll be talking, I'm like, and then I'd have to get back to what I was saying, and I'd lose my breath when I'm like, when I shouldn't be losing my breath. Like, it's like I wasn't breathing because I was so nervous or some other shit. But eventually, over time, I just started doing the one take thing. And it's like, it's interesting how we can get inspired by other people, right? Like, if it wasn't for Terence McKenna, I wouldn't speak the way I do. But if I never seen Carpo, like, do one take videos, I probably would have kept editing my videos, and I probably wouldn't have done just one take videos where, like, and upload them as is. And then it's like, there's other people that, like, I've seen and that I've learned from, and then I've been able to take something, like something useful that they do, that they think that they have, that they whatever, and I can apply it. Before Terence McKenna, I was just that gangster thug dude, so I never thought about philosophy or, like, but when I started thinking about philosophy after doing DMT for the first few times, and I started thinking deep for the first time, it's like I understood what Terence was saying because I was listening to Terence for a whole year before I ever tried DMT. So I started understanding. So then I started listening more because I started understanding what he meant. Some of the things he, like, would say, I'm like, yeah, whatever. It went over my head in the beginning. But after doing DMT, and you're like, oh, that's what he meant. He meant this and this and that. Like, it was this whole thing. Hey, what's going on, Big Chill? Hope you've been doing well, bro. Satori says freestyling is an amazing tool for consciousness development. I feel, bro, I feel you on that. Like, freestyling, probably the first time I started freestyling, like, I was 13, right? Like, and I made like probably like 12 mixtapes. Some of those mixtapes had like 20 songs on them. So, like, there was one mixtape I had like 15, maybe 16 songs on it, where I freestyled every song. So the songs, to me, if I listen to them back, they sound like trash, right? They sound garbage, but they're only garbage compared to the times that I wrote. So there's some songs I made back in the day where I freestyled it because my best friend at the time freestyled everything. He didn't write anything down. He would do one take freestyles, bro. Talking about one take, he would do one take freestyles, bro. Like, and I mean, I was there, bro. I recorded this shit. I was there. It was insane to see, and that inspired me as well to learn how to freestyle. But, you know, so as I would record his thing, let's say he would do a one take freestyle. He didn't like what he said in the middle of it. He has me delete it. Then he does a whole nother one take freestyle, but that whole other freestyle is completely different than the first one because he doesn't really remember fully what he said in the first one because it was a genuine freestyle. Like, but it was so interesting to see. It was dope, bro, like, for real. And that inspired me as well. Like, and I can see that like, freestyling and doing this thing, it definitely helped the consciousness. Being a rapper in general helped me because I started, like, I wanted to add new words into my lyrics, or I started trying to figure out how to, like, create better bars, write more, like, similes and metaphors, and, like, how to have a better flow, how to, all these different things where I worked on this thing to get good at this thing. Like, that definitely helped the consciousness because rapping is still using your mind. It's still words. It's still wordplay. It's still, you know, freestyling. Even if I look back and I'm like, oh, that freestyle was trash, that freestyle still helped the mind. somehow. Like, I don't know, but yeah, no, I feel you. It's definitely an amazing tool. Um, that is overlooked because most people think they can't freestyle, but you can. You just are judging it based off of whether it's good or bad. But like, it's the same thing that I do with videos. There's some videos that like I'll record a whole video. There's 2 videos on my phone that I recorded I think yesterday, and I did not upload them. Because I uploaded like 3 videos yesterday because I just made so many videos for some reason. I just had this vibe to make a shit ton of videos. But there's 2 of them that I'm like, yeah, all because I don't like what I said in the middle, and all because I don't want to edit it, because I can easily just take the video, cut out what I said in the middle, and then it's like, oh, now the video's fine. But all because I don't want to edit it and all this other shit, I'd rather just delete it and make a new video. But the new video might not even have anything to do with what I said in that video that I deleted. But it's like I learned that shit from my dude Dell, like back when we was best friends, back when I had the studio and I would see him record. And it's like he'd record a whole verse. He didn't like what he said in the middle. He'd delete the whole verse. And I'd love the verse, bro. I would love that shit. And he'd be like, nah, bro, trust me, man. Like, trust me. And I'm like, as the producer, the guy that's like, I'm recording this shit, I'm like, whatever. I really wanted to keep some of the things that he deleted, but I'm glad he deleted them and had me delete them because it came out better. Like, freestyling and free flowing is interesting because what I do with my philosophy YouTube channel is the same thing I used to do when I would freestyle on a song. It's like, I would never do one take freestyles though. I was not that type. Like, that was another level. Like, my dude was on another level. But I would like freestyle the beginning part and then like a quarter of the way in the verse freestyle another part, and I don't know if it was freestyle necessarily because I'm kind of thinking about what I want to say. Like, because I'd stop, I'd be like, okay, let me think first. I'd think of a bar, whatever, and then I'm like, okay, I got it. Then I'd, rap the rest of the part. So it wasn't necessarily freestyle. And some songs, I guess, were full, like, half freestyled, where it's like, I had the beginning written, but the end was not written. So I'm like, I'll just freestyle when I get to the end. Oh, Rod Sterling was the guy that made the Twilight Zone, and had never knew that. He was also a book writer. Oh, well, that's dope. I definitely gotta look into him. What the fuck? Yo, it zooms in. I didn't even know I could zoom in. So like, Green Buds, what's going on, bro? Satori says, speaking from the soul is something poetry taught me. And I think that's when one is attuned with the wholeness of who they are, which is a good foundational ground for being a philosopher and a shaman. Yeah, I feel you on that. And I feel like the shamanic journey is so, I don't even know the word. Like, I was going to say rare, because it's not like you could find someone like, you can't walk up to people. Like, you can go to any city, you might not find someone who practices shamanism or even modern shamanism or this thing, and like people that do, they might not take it seriously or whatever, because on the shamanic journey, the journey itself will help you learn about you and like give you this self-awareness, this thing where it's like you grow on the journey, which is why any person that you think of, like a real shaman down in South America, they, like when they first started their journey, if you looked at them, you'd be like, oh, they're just a normal person. But it's after their journey that you see them usually. Like you wouldn't really see a shaman before their journey, or a shaman even in the middle of their journey. Anytime you see a shaman, or all the people that are drinking ayahuasca, like are giving ayahuasca to people, or the people, like they've already gone on their journey. Like they've already went through the plant dietas, the learning, the figuring out how to maneuver in that space, the all these different things, the learning about themselves, learning, like all of this thing is things they learned on the journey, which is why they're able to facilitate the journey for other people. But no, I just think it's like a different, it's just another option. An option that we think is not available, but that's because it's only available to the people that are called to do it. The difference between like Buddhism or religion or yoga or whatever, the difference between those and like going on a shamanic path, the difference is you don't have to be called to it. The shamanic path is an invite call only type shit. We're like, if you're invited, you're invited, and if not, then you're not type shit. You can still learn from it, you can still whatever, but that's why it's like, it's a little different than just going to do yoga or going to do these other things. Hey, somebody's having the time. Oh, somebody's in the. That's what I want to do sometime. I'd have to go all the way up because the river kind of ends close to up here. Like, it gets to this part of the, like this dam thing or whatever, but they must have been coming from all the way. Like, well, I'm gonna get up out of here though, guys, because I'm gonna start walking back. So, if you have any questions or anything before I go, just let me know. Oh shit, what's going on? Green buds. Go ahead. Yesterday I did some sunbathing. I just sat here, took my shirt off, and just sat in the sun, like, for probably a good hour. Like, but alright though, guys. I appreciate y'all.